More on the Victorian election now. The seat of Benambra has been Liberal territory since the mid-1970s. The incumbent Liberal, Bill Tilley, has held the seat since 2006, but he is facing tough competition from the independent Jackie Hawkins. Bill joins us live now from Wodonga. Bill, appreciate you making the time for us on election day. Thank you. You've made it to this day. How are you feeling? Are you confident you can retain the seat?
Well, look, it's a terrific day in the northeast of Victoria. The weather's wonderful. We're out there. But the mood on the ground here, has been extraordinary. I'm quite surprised how everybody's being received, and people are certainly taking up how to vote cards. But the messages we've had during the election campaign is certainly that people are left with very few options if they want a new hospital for Wodonga. Independents can't deliver that. In no position, just today, but driving around also is coming from Rutherglen to Chiltern. The Rutherglen-Chiltern road is significantly damaged. I mean, there's probably about 10 kilometres of massive potholes, nearly run over a big brown snake, probably about 6 foot. But anyway, it's been an interesting day. We've been well received. It's good mood on the ground, and we'll see what happens next. But as I said earlier to the viewers, a vote for any other person than the Liberal candidate, which is me, won't be able to deliver. And a change of government, of course, hopefully we'll find out later tonight.
I mentioned your opponent's running as an independent. It's at a time when we've seen the so-called teal movement really getting momentum at a federal level anyway. That must have you worried.
Oh, look, it's not worth worrying or getting wrapped around the axles about things. Look, the federal seat of Indi here has had 4 elections now where you've had 2 federal independents. This is the second time the seat of Benambra has had a challenge from an independent. We know how they operate. We know how they behave. It's a democracy we live in, but the very clear message that I'm sending to the Benambra district is that if you want a new hospital, you have to vote for me, and we have to change the government.
Bill, do you have any regrets about your campaign? We did see some reports over the past week that you had an argument essentially with your opponent at a polling booth. You're accused of using some language that you might have regretted later.
Oh, look, it was how do I best describe it? A storm in the teacup. It was last Saturday afternoon before I was heading off to a community event in Walwa. It was a very brief exchange. It bemuses me how that 2 days out from an election that the independents would want to try and do something like this. It smells of desperation. But anyway, putting that aside, look, we live in a democracy. People are allowed to campaign, and certainly I'm not bothered too much. Hindsight's always wonderful about campaigns themselves. You always like to think that you can always improve and do better, but I'm very happy with a very strong campaign and the support that I've had with Liberals right across the Albury-Wodonga area, in fact.
And more broadly, in terms of the Liberal campaign, I mean, you've seen the polls, it's pointing towards Dan Andrews retaining government, although it could be a minority one at that. If that is the case, are there lessons that you can see already for the Liberal Party? Clearly, the candidates' election has caused your side of politics some grief in recent weeks, and it's been a real distraction for Matthew Guy.
Well, it's significantly, independents are significantly a distraction because, look, they will never be able to be the government. They won't be writing the cheques. They make a lot of noise. They're transactional. They make a lot of deals, which doesn't always benefit the majority of people within your district or the state of Victoria for that matter. But look, we do live in a democracy and people are more than entitled to run. We don't always agree. We don't always like what their tactics are. But I will always run my own race, as will the Liberal Party.
Bill, you mentioned the hospital. What are the other big issues in your electorate that you've seen surface during this campaign? Has there been a lot of anger coming through over the lockdowns and the chaos that the border shutdowns caused in your parts there?
Well, we had lockdowns, shutdowns, border control. We had to develop a border bubble for local residents because here on the border, particularly the major population centres of Albury and Wodonga, Wodonga needs Albury, Albury needs Wodonga. We're the same economy. We bounce off each other. Sometimes it's been reflected that Albury is a city in New South Wales, but happens, it should be in Victoria. But anyway, that's the nature of living on the border with border communities. And we do punch above our weight, but it is critical in this election to change the government. And the Liberal Party forming government in Victoria is delivering a brand new hospital, not the announcements that came out, a couple of a week or so before an election. And it's second best. We won't accept second best. We're a growing region and we deserve to have a lot more. I mean, public transport, we're probably one of the most neglected areas in country Victoria when it comes to public transport. We've got growth areas in Barranduda, Leneva, Kalara, where there's bus stops, but there's no buses. There's no bus service at all. I mean, kids can't even get to school. So you can imagine how that makes life for families challenging and difficult when you get a response from the government, well, catch public transport. Well, there is no public transport. So we're committed to, given the privilege and the opportunity, to make a change with that. Significantly, yes, the lockdowns. We've gone through the 2020 fires. The community fought together, worked together very well. Then straight off the back of that, we had COVID, which was significantly restricted business. There was some businesses that even went out the back door, and it was sad to see where people are putting up their hard-earned, having a go and making a contribution to our local economy, that they just couldn't make it, just couldn't get over the line. And it's a sad indictment of public policy and the government of the day.
Well, Bill, your seat is on the one to watch list, no doubt about that, for tonight. It is looking like it's going to be close. There's a couple of hours left on the polling booth, so no doubt you're keen to get back out there and shake a few more hands. Thanks for making the time for us on Sky News today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity.